Hi art friends, welcome back to art class with Mr. Poulos. Today we're going to be making some op art. Op stands for optical, and optical means your eye. So optical art is meant to fool your eye. Today we're going to be making a jack-o'-lantern that looks like it's 3D and it looks like it pops off the page. It's a little bit hard to see with the camera right now, but there's some white on these sections that really makes it look extra shiny and it looks awesome. So let's get started. So we'll start by making our pumpkin nice and big in the middle of the page. So it's like the letter C. Start in the middle, make the letter C, and now I do a backwards letter C. Make the pumpkin stem, which is just a rectangle. And I'm going to make a couple of lines in the middle of my pumpkin. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is to create some horizontal lines in the background of my pumpkin. So this is just going to look like stripes. So you can use a ruler or anything with a straight edge. I'm going to use this envelope here. And remember, it's just in the background of the pumpkin. Okay. Try and match it up if it's not as big as your paper. You want them to kind of line up best you can. And I'm not doing, 100 of these lines. I'm doing maybe 6. If you're using a ruler, and you're just doing the width of the ruler, you might end up with 8. And those numbers will work just fine, but you don't want tons and tons and tons. Now the last step I'm going to do is to make it look like this pumpkin is bumping up. So wherever the line hits the pumpkin, it's going to bump up until it hits another line. And bump up, and bump up, and bump up. It's like making a rainbow. It's also kind of like making a spider web, if you've ever done that. Okay, looks good enough for me. Next step is to color, so I'm going to fast forward through that. Okay, now here's my colored pumpkin. You could color the background as well, but I just want to show you how to make this look 3D. So what you're going to need is a white crayon, and for this, a red crayon. You just want a darker color of whatever you're doing here. If you were to make something other than a pumpkin and it wasn't orange, like red is a good color to darken the orange, but if you were doing something else like a heart or a sphere or something, you could just use black and you could just go lightly and it'll make the orange look darker. But I'm going to use red for this project. And what I'm going to do is darken inside of these orange shapes just toward these vertical lines. So let me show you what that means. So I'm pressing kind of hard with my red crayon, and you can see how it looks like the pumpkin's getting darker here. Now that's not going to work with a color like blue, because the pumpkin is orange. And I'm getting a little bit lighter and lighter and lighter as I get toward the center and really dark toward that line. So it's a gradient. Darker in the middle, lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. Going lighter with my pressure. Okay. This takes a little bit of practice. You might have to go slower than Mr. Poulos, and that's okay. There we go. I want to do it to both sides. Sometimes I spin my artwork upside down, whatever's easier on my wrist. And lighter as I get toward the middle. Lighter as I get toward the middle. Okay. Now you would do what I just did here, and here, and here, but I'm just going to focus on this one for right now. Okay? So it looks like the edges are darker, so that they look like they're farther away from me. And to make the middle of this look like it pops out, I'm going to use that white crayon. I'm going to lighten up that orange. So for this one, the most pressure I apply is going to be right in the middle of this shape, and it gets lighter on my pressure as I go to the sides. So I'm not pressing as hard anymore. And there you go. It looks like this part of my pumpkin pops out. Okay? I'm going to fast forward through the next section where I do the other sections of this pumpkin, but you'll see it looks really cool. And there you have it. You should color your background as well. Really, any color will work. And just remember that the trick is the white. You press the hardest with the white in the center of each of these vertical sections, and you press the hardest with the red against these vertical lines. Okay? I think you can do this. I think it's going to look great, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. See you next time.